Hello students, only few days left for the NEET exam, and in this video there are 300 plus most expected MCQs from each and every chapter of biology focused on NCERT based 100% syllabus coverage, exam focused high yield questions we are going to discuss. So let us start this video without wasting time. So let us start with the Living World chapter from 11th CBSE Biology. The first question is, nomenclature is governed by certain universal rules. Which one of the following is contrary to the rule of nomenclature? So the answer is biological names can be written in any language because biological names can be written only in Latin language. Let us go to the next question. We are going to match column 1 with column 2. So here family is Musidae, order is Diptera, class is Insecta, phylum is Arthropoda. So option D is the right answer. We have a next question. This is an incorrect statement. Among the four statements, the incorrect statement is a museum has a collection of photographs of animals and plants is the incorrect statement. Next question, this entity is scientifically correctly named, correctly printed as per the international rules of nomenclature and correctly described. So among the four options, the correctly described is option C, Plasmodium falciparum, a protozoan pathogen causing most serious type of malaria. The common characteristics between potato and tomato will be maximum at the level of their family. This animal is correctly matched with its particular taxonomic category. It is tiger tigris species. This aspect is an exclusively characteristics of living things. It is perceptions of events happening in the environment and their memory. Species are the real basic units of classification. Biosystematics aims at the classification of organisms based on their evolutionary history and establishing their phylogeny on the totality of various parameters from all fields of studies. Label of a herbarium sheet does not carry information. It does not carry the information of height of the plant. Let us move to the second chapter, biological classification. This component provides a sticky characters to bacterial cell. It is a glycocalyx. Second question, pick the incorrect statement. Among the incorrect statement is the walls of diatoms are easily destructible. This is the incorrect statement. Third question, the imperfect fungi that are decomposers of litter and helps in mineral cycling belongs to deuteromycetes. Next question, pick the incorrect statement. Among the following four options, the incorrect statement is morels and truffles are poisonous mushrooms. That is the incorrect statement. Remaining three statements are exactly correct. Fifth question, a capsule is advantageous to a bacterium because option B, it allows the bacterium to hide from the host immune system. Sixth question, the most abundant prokaryotes helps to humans in making curd from milk and in production of antibiotics are the ones categorized as heterotrophic bacteria. They are heterotrophic bacteria. Next question, the pathogen Microsporum responsible for ringworm disease in humans belongs to the same kingdom of organism as that of Rhizopus, which is a mold. Next question, some hyperthermophilic organism that grows in highly acidic pH habitats belongs to two groups, that is Eubacteria and Archaebacteria. Pick the correct combination of statements 1 to 4 regarding the characteristics of some entities. The correct statements are statement 1, methanogens are the archaebacteria that produce methane in marshy gas. Second statement, nostoc is a filamentous blue-green algae which fixes atmospheric nitrogen. And fourth statement, mycoplasma lacks cell wall and can survive without oxygen. Next question, bacterial leaf blight of rice is caused by species Xanthomonas. From plant kingdom, the important questions are pick the odd one out. Among the four options, the odd one out is Pinus, which is dioecious. Second question, conifers are adapted to tolerate extreme environmental conditions because of thick cuticle. Pick the correct statement. Among the following four, the correct statement is option D, sequoia is the one of the tallest tree. Next, this is responsible for peat formation. Sphagnum is responsible for peat formation. The incorrect statement among the following is in oomycetes, female gametes are smaller and motile, while male gametes are larger and non-motile. This is the wrong statement. What is common in all the three, Funaria, Dryopteris and Ginkgo? The common in all the three is presence of Archegonia. This is common to multicellular fungi, filamentous algae and protonema of mosses, and the common is multiplication by fragmentation. Which of these is a vascular cryptogam? It is a equisitum. This is considered important in the development of seed habit, that is heterospory. Pick one of the following pair of important features distinguish Neetum from Cycas and Pinus and showing affinities with angiosperm. The important feature is presence of vessels, vessel elements and absence of archegonia. From animal kingdom, first question, an important characteristic that hemichordates shares with chordate is pharynx with gill slits. Pick the correct statement. The correct statement is all cyclostomes do not possess jaws and paired fins. Body having meshwork of cells, internal cavities lined with food filtering flagellated cells and indirect development are characteristic features of phylum Porifera. A jawless fish which lays egg in fresh water and whose ammocetes larvae after metamorphosis returns to the ocean is Petromyzon. The taxon representing both freshwater and marine water species is Cnidaria. This group of animal belongs to the same phylum, that is prawn, scorpion and locusta. Phylum. Characteristics of class Reptilia: a body covered with dry and cornified skin, scales over the body are epidermal and do not have external ears. Next, this category of animals correctly describes with no single exception in it, and that is all bony fishes have 4 pairs of gills and an operculum on each side. One example of animal that have a single opening to the outside that serves both mouth as well as anus, it is a fasciola. If a live earthworm is pricked with a needle and on its outer surface without damaging its gut, the fluid that comes out is a coelomic fluid. Morphology of flowering plants. First question is in Bougainvillea, thorns are modified of stem. How many plants among Indigofera, Sisbania, Salvia, Allium, aloe, mustard, groundnut, radish, gram and turnip have stamens with different length in their flowers? And answer is 4. They are salvia, that is dianthamus, and members of brassicaceae family. The 3 are mustard, radish and turnip. This is not stem modification. The answer is the picture of nepenthes or not stem modification. The wheat grain has an embryo with one large shield-shaped cotyledon. It is known as scutellum. Placenta and pericarp are both edible portion in tomato. This is correct statement, and that is proteinaceous aleurone layer is present in maize grain. Flower in China rose are actinomorphic, hypogynous with twisted estivation. In cymose inflorescence, the main axis terminates in a flower. Next question, this is correctly matched with this 3 characteristics, that is onion, it's a bulb, imbricate estivation and shows axial placentation. This is a xerophytic plant in which the stem modifies into flat, green and succulent structure, and that is Opuntia. Anatomy of flowering plant, this is the incorrect statement in context of heartwood, and it conducts water and minerals efficiently. The vascular cambium typically gives rise to secondary xylem. A balloon-shaped structure called tylosus are the extensions of xylem parenchyma cells into vessels. Next question, you are given a fairly old piece of dicot stem and dicot root. Which of the following anatomical structure will you see to distinguish between the two? And that is protoxylem. This is an incorrect statement for stomatal apparatus. Guard cells are always surrounded by subsidiary cells. Next question, some vascular bundles are described as open because they are capable of producing secondary xylem and phloem. Heart would differ from sapwood by having dead and non-conducting elements. Anatomically, fairly old dicotyledonous root is distinguished from dicotyledonous stem by the present position of protoxylem. The length of different internodes in culum of sugarcane is variable because of intercalary meristem. Passage cells are thin-walled cells found in passage cell found in endodermis of root, facilitating rapid transport of water from cortex to pericycle. From structural organization of animal, we have a questions. First question, frog's heart when taken out of the body continues to beat for some times. Select the best option from the following statement. The best options are option 3 and option 4, that is heart is auto-excitable and heart is myogenic in nature. Frog heart is myogenic. The future is not found in Periplaneta americana and it is the interminate and radial cleavage during embryonic development. Sperms in male cockroaches are stored in which part of the reproductive system? They are stored in seminal vesicle. Function of gap junction. The function of gap junction is facilitate communication between adjoining cells by connecting cytoplasm for rapid transport of ions, small molecules and some large molecules. Pick out the correctly matched pair. The correctly matched pair is areolar tissue, which is a loose connective tissue. Compared to those humans, erythrocytes of frogs are nucleated with hemoglobin. One very special features of earthworm is that the Tephalos greatly increase the effective absorption area of the digestion of digested food in the intestine. Frogs differ from humans in possessing nucleated red blood cells. This is true description of an animal. It is cockroach with 10 pairs of spiracles, 8 pairs on the abdomen and 2 pairs on the thorax. In which of the following preparation are you likely to come across cell junction most frequently? You can find in ciliated epithelium. From the cell chapter, the first question is the cell organelles is responsible for extracting energy from carbohydrate to form ATP is mitochondria. Pick out the incorrect statement. It is pili and fimbria are mainly involved in motility of the bacterial cell. As per the fluid mosaic model, plasma membrane is composed of phospholipid, extrinsic protein and intrinsic protein. Next, we have pick the correct statement from those regarding to cell membrane. It is fluid mosaic model of cell membrane were proposed by Singer and Nicholson. The structure between two adjacent cells is an effective transport pathway that is plasmodesmata. Chemoosmotic theory of ATP synthesis in chloroplast and mitochondria is based on proton gradient across the membrane. The telomers of eukaryotic chromosome consist of short sequence that is rich in guanine rich repeat. Cellular totipotency is demonstrated by all the plants. This ribosomes is engaged in protein synthesis in animal cell, that is ribosomes which occurs on nuclear membrane and endoplasmic reticulum. The statement on cilia is incorrect. Is the organized beating of cilia is controlled by fluxes of calcium and across the membrane. That is the incorrect statement. From biomolecule chapter, the correct statement with reference to enzyme is holoenzyme consists of apoenzyme and coenzyme. The non-proteinaceous enzyme is ribozyme, very important. This form of the following is least likely to be involved in stabilizing the three-dimensional folding of most of the protein, and that is not involved is least involved is ester bond. Pick the incorrect statement. Incorrect statement is glycine is sulfur containing amino acid. Sulfur containing amino acids are cysteine and cysteine. The chitinous endoskeleton of arthropods is formed by the polymerization of N-acetyl glucosamine. This biomolecule has phosphodiester bond. It is nucleic acid in a nucleotide. Pick the incorrect statement with regards with the enzyme. The incorrect is additional of lot of succinate does not reverse the inhibition of succinate dehydrogenase by malonate. It is an incorrect statement. Macromolecules chitin is a nitrogen containing polysaccharide. This is about enzyme is incorrect. Incorrect is enzymes are mostly protein but some are lipids. No, it is an incorrect statement. This biomolecules are correctly characterized. That is, lecithin is a phosphorylated and phosphorylated glyceride found in cell membrane. From cell division, the first question is the option gives the correct sequence of events during mitosis is option D, condensation, then nuclear membrane disassembly, then arrangement at equator, then centromere division, then segregation, and then telophase. Second question, when a cell has a stalled DNA replication fork, which checkpoint should be predominantly activated? It is G2 or M phase. Anaphase promoting complex is a protein degradation machinery necessary for proper mitosis of animal cell. If APC is defective in human cell, which of the following is expected to occur? It is chromosomes will not segregate. Spindle fibers attached to kinetochore of chromosome. This is not a characteristic feature during mitosis in somatic cell, that is synapsis, because it is in meiosis. Arrange the following events of meiosis in the correct sequence. There is first synapsis, then crossing over, then terminalization of chiasmata, then disappearance of nucleolus. During which phase of the cell cycle the amount of DNA in a cell membrane at 4C level, if initial amount is denoted by 2C, it is only in second growth phase G2. Enzyme recombinase is required at which stage of meiosis? It is Pachytin. Chromosomes during meiosis 1 start pairing at zygotin. Identify the meiotic stage in which homologous chromosome separates while the sister chromatids remains associated at their centromere, and this is anaphase 1. From photosynthesis in higher plants, first question is with reference to the factors affecting the rate of photosynthesis, which of the following statement is incorrect? The incorrect is the C3 plants responds to higher temperature with enhanced photosynthesis, while C4 plants have much lower temperature optimum. That is the incorrect statement. Next we have water vapors comes out of the plant leaf through the stomatal opening. Through the same stomatal opening, carbon dioxide diffuses into the plant during photosynthesis. Reason out the above statement using one of the following option. So both processes can happens together because the diffusion coefficient of water and carbon dioxide is different. The process making major difference between C3 and C4 plant is photorespiration. Emerson's enhancement effect and red drop have been instrumental in the discovery of two photosystems operating simultaneously. Light dependent reaction in photosynthesis takes place at a stromatal matrix. Next we have read the following statements and we need to find out how many of the above statements are true. So the true statements are only two, that is first and second. Symbiotic nitrogen fixers occurs in free living state, also in the soil. Statement second, statement stamens in flowers of gloriosa and petuna are polyadelphous. These two statements are true. In Kranz anatomy, the bundle sheet cells have thick wall, no intercellular spaces, and large number of chloroplasts you can find. PGA as the first carbon dioxide fixation product was discovered in the photosynthesis of algae. Kranz anatomy is one of the characteristics of leaves of sugarcane. Electrons from excited chlorophyll molecules of photosystem 2 are accepted first by quinone from respiration in plants. This biomolecule is the common to respiration mediated breakdown of fat, carbohydrate and protein, and it is acetyl CoA. This is incorrect statement for Krebs cycle. The incorrect statement is the cycle starts with the condensation of acetyl CoA with pyruvic acid to yield citric acid. This is the incorrect statement. This metabolite is common to respiration mediated breakdown of fat, carbohydrate and protein, and it is acetyl CoA. The energy releasing metabolic process in which substrate is oxidized without an external electron acceptor is called fermentation. The chemoosmotic coupling hypothesis of oxidative phosphorylation proposes that adenosine triphosphate is formed because of a proton gradient across the inner membrane. The overall goal of glycolysis, Krebs cycle and electron transport system is the formation of ATP in small stepwise unit. How many ATP molecules could maximally be generated from one molecule of glucose if the complete oxidation of one molecule of glucose to carbon dioxide and water yields 686 kilocalories, and the useful chemical energy available in the high energy phosphate bond of the 1 mole of ATP is 12 calories. When you calculate, you will get 57 ATP molecules. During which stage in the complete oxidation of glucose the greatest number of ATP molecules formed from ADP? It is electron transport chain. In alcohol fermentation, triose phosphate is the electron donor while acetaldehyde is the electron acceptor. How many ATP molecules are produced by aerobic oxidation of one molecule of glucose? It is 38 ATPs. Plant growth and development. First question, fruit and leaf drop at early stage can be prevented by the application of auxin. The Avena curvature is used for bioassay of IAA. You are given a tissue with its potential for differentiation in artificial culture. Which of the following pair of hormone would you add to the medium to secure the shoot as well as root? And it is auxin and cytokinin. Dr. F. Wendt noted that if coleoptile tips were removed and placed on agar for 1 hour, the agar would produce a bending when placed on one side of freshly cut coleoptile stumps. Of what significance of this experiment? The significance is it is made possible the isolation and exact identification of growth hormone auxin. During seed germination, it stores a food is mobilized by gibberellin. A few normal seedlings of tomato were kept in a dark room. After few days, they were found to have become white colored like albions. Which of the following terms will you use to describe them? It is etiolated. The pineapple, which under natural condition is difficult to blossom, has been made to produce fruit throughout the year by the application of hormones like NAA and 2,4-D. Which of the following generally act as antagonist to gibberellin? And it is ABA, abscisic acid. Coiling of garden pea tendrils around any support is an example of stigmotropism. Senescence as an active developmental cellular process in the growth and functioning of a flowering plants. It is indicated in vessels and tracheids differentiation. Next, we have a questions of breathing and exchange of gases. Lungs are made up of air-filled sacs, the alveoli. They do not collapse even after forceful expiration because of residual volume. Lungs do not collapse between breath, and some air always remains in the lungs which can never be expelled out. That is, there is negative interpleural pressure pulling at the lungs wall. Next, we have name the chronic respiratory disorder caused mainly by cigarette smoking. It is emphysema. Approximately 70% of carbon dioxide absorbed by the blood will be transported to the lungs as a bicarbonate ion. People who have migrated from the plains to the area adjoining Rohtak Pass about 6 months back, they have more RBC and their hemoglobin have lower binding affinity to oxygen. A large proportion of oxygen remains unused in the human body even after its uptake by the body tissue. This oxygen acts as a reserve during muscular exercise. Bulk carbon dioxide released from the body tissue into the blood is present as bicarbonate in the blood plasma and in the RBC. What is true about RBC in human? It carries about 20 to 25% of the carbon dioxide. The hemoglobin of human fetus has higher affinity for oxygen than that of an adult. Because the incorrect statement among the four, the incorrect statement is in insecta, circulating body fluid serves to distribute oxygen to the tissue. Next, we have a questions of body fluid and circulation. Adult human RBC are enucleated. Which of the following statements are most appropriate explanation for this future? It is only option statement 3, that all their internal spaces available to transport oxygen. Name the blood cells whose reduction in number is cause clotting disorder leading to excessive loss of blood from the body. It is thrombocytes. Serum differ from blood in lacking clotting factors. Blood pressure in the pulmonary artery is more than that in the pulmonary vein. This blood vessel in mammal would typically carry the largest amount of urea, and it is hepatic vein. Doctors use a stethoscope to hear the sound produced during each cardiac cycle. The second sound is heard when semilunar valves closes down after the blood flow into the vessels from ventricle. Persons with blood group AB is considered as universal recipient because he has both A and B antigen on the surface of the RBT but no antibodies in the plasma. How do parasympathetic neural signals affect the working of heart? It is reduce both heart rate and cardiac output. Certain road accident patient with unknown blood group needs immediate blood transfusion. His doctor friend at once offer his blood. What was the blood group of the donor? It is blood group O. Which of the following plasma protein involved in coagulation of the protein? It is fibrinogen. Next, we have a questions of excretory products and their elimination. The decreased in blood pressure volume will not cause the release of atrial natriuretic factor. Because the correct statement is ascending limb of loop of Henle is impermeable to water. Part of nephron involved in active reabsorption of sodium is Bowman's capsule. Typically, human urine is acidic because of hydrogen ion are actively secreted into the filtrate. Which of the following causes an increase in sodium reabsorption in the distal convoluted tubule? It is increase in aldosterone level. Maximum amount of electrolytes and water, about 70 to 80% from glomerular filtrate is reabsorbed in which part of the nephron? It is PCT. A fall in GFR activates juxtaglomerular cells to release renin. The most common characteristics observed in both human beings and adult frog is they are ureotelic mode of excretion. This is the not part of renal pyramid. It is convoluted tubule. This amongst the following correctly explained the function of specific part of human nephron is podocyte creates minute space for filtration of blood into the Bowman's capsule. From locomotion and movement, the first chapter is the pivot joint between atlas and axis is a type of synovial joint. This is responsible for unmasking the active sites of for myosin or cross bridges activity during muscle contraction, and it is calcium. Lack of relaxation between successive stimuli is sustained muscle contraction is known as tetanus. Stimulation of muscle fiber by motor neuron occurred at the neuromuscular junction. Pick the correct statement with regards to locomotion in human, and the correct statement is accumulation of uric acid crystal in joint causes their inflammation. The H zone in the skeletal muscle fiber is due to central gap between actin filament extending through myosin filament in the A band. In humans, during muscle contraction, A band remains the same. Pick the correct statement regarding the specific disorder of muscular or skeletal muscle. It is osteoporosis, decrease in bone mass, and higher chances of fracture with aging. The correct description of a certain part of normal human skeleton is parietal bone and temporal bone of the skull are joined by fibrous joint. This is this item gives the correct total number, and it is floating ribs in human only 4. From neural control and coordination, the first chapter is myelin sheet is produced by Schwann cell and oligodendrocytes. Good vision depends on an advocate intake of keratin rich food. Pick the best option from the following statement. The best option from the following statement is statement 2 and 3. Pick the correct statement. Among that correct statement is option D. Photoreceptors in human eye are depolarized during darkness and becomes hyperpolarized in response to the light stimuli. Destruction of anterior horn cells of spinal cord would result in the loss of voluntary motor impulses. The fovea in mammalian eye is a center of visual field where high density cones occurs but has no rods. Injury localized to the hypothalamus would mostly likely disturb a regulation of body temperature. The most abundant intracellular cation is potassium ion. The part of human ear plays no role in hearing, but otherwise very much required is vestibular apparatus. When a neuron is in resting state, not conducting any impulse, the axon membrane is comparatively more permeable to potassium ion and nearly impermeable to sodium ion. In human, Alzheimer's disease is associated with the deficiency of neurotransmitter acetylcholine. From chemical coordination and integration chapter, the first question is hypothalamic hormone GnRH, gonadotropin releasing hormone needed in reproduction acts on anterior pituitary gland and stimulates the secretion of luteinizing hormone and follicle stimulating hormone. Hypersecretion of growth hormone in adults does not cause further increase in height because epiphyseal plates closes after adolescence. Name the peptide hormone which acts mainly on hepatocytes, adipocytes, and enhance cellular glucose uptake and utilization, and it is insulin. The temporary endocrine gland in human body is corpus luteum in the ovary. The posterior pituitary gland is not true endocrine gland because it only stores and releases hormone. This pair of hormone are not antagonistic to each other, that is relaxin and inhibin. The hormone is not involved in sugar metabolism is aldosterone. This hormone, though synthesized elsewhere, is stored and released by a master gland is antidiuretic hormone. Fight or flight reaction cause activation of the adrenal medulla, leading to the increase in the secretion of epinephrine and norepinephrine. A pregnant female delivers a baby who suffers from stunted growth, mental retardation, low intelligence quotient, and abnormal skin. This is the result of deficiency of iodine in the diet. Let us move on to the 12th CBSE biology. We have a MCQs from the chapter sexual reproduction in flowering plant. Which of the following statement is not true? That is, tapetum helps in dehiscence of anther. So only first three layers are going to help in dehiscence. Tapetum to nourishing the developing pollen grains. Pollination in water hyacinth and water lily is brought about by the agency of insects or wind. In the majority of angiosperm, reduction division occurs in megaspore mother cell. Attractant and rewards are required in entomophily. The morphological nature of the edible part of the coconut is endosperm. A dioecious flowering plant prevents both autogamy and geitonogamy. Functional megaspore in an angiosperm develops into embryo sac. Which of the following may require pollinator but is genetically similar to autogamy? It is geitonogamy. The ovule of an angiosperm technically equivalent to megasporangium. Seed formation without fertilization in flowering plants involve in the process of apomixis. From human reproduction, the first question is which part of the ovary in mammals act as endocrine gland after ovulation? It is Graafian follicle because it converts to corpus luteum that secretes progesterone. In human female, menstruation can be deferred by the administration of combination of estrogen and progesterone. Ultrasound of how much frequency is beamed into human body for sonography. It is 1 to 15 mHz. Withdrawal of which of the following hormone is immediate cause of menstruation? That is progesterone. The change in the amount of yolk and its distribution in the egg will affect pattern of cleavage. Fetal ejection reflex in human female is induced by fully developed fetus and placenta. Which of the following is most likely a reason for not occurring regular menstruation cycle in female? It is fertilization of ovum. In humans, at the end of first meiotic division, the male germ cells differentiate into secondary spermatocytes. Which extra embryonic membrane in human prevents the desiccation of embryo inside the uterus? It is amnion. In human female, meiosis II is not completed until fertilization occurs. From reproductive health, first chapter is the function of copper ions in copper releasing IUD is they suppress sperm motility and fertilizing capacity of sperms. In case of couples where the male is having very low sperm count, which technique will be suitable for fertilization? It is artificial insemination. Which of the following is incorrect regarding vasectomy? That is, no sperm occur in epididymis. Which of the following is a hormone releasing IUD? It is LNG20. Embryo with more than 16 blastomere formed due to in vitro fertilization is transferred into uterus. In context to amniocentesis, which of the following statement is incorrect? Can be used for the detection of cleft plate. A hysterectomy is a surgical removal of uterus. Which of the following is a not sexually transmitted diseases? It is encephalitis. Tubectomy is a method of sterilization in which small part of fallopian tube is removed and tied up. Which of the following cannot be detected in a developing fetus by amniocentesis? Jaundice, because jaundice is not a genetic disorder. From the chapter Principles of Inheritance and Variation, the first question is, in human, sex is determined by sex chromosome of the father. A gene showing codominance has both alleles independently expressed in the heterozygote. In his classic experiment on peas, Mendel did not use pod length. How many pairs of contrasting characters in pea plant were studied by Mendel in his experiment? 7 pairs. A disease caused by an autosomal primary non-disjunction is Down syndrome. The mechanism that causes a gene to move from one linkage group to another is called translocation. A true breeding plant is near homozygous and produce offsprings of its own kind. The incorrect statement with regards to hemophilia is it is a dominant disease because it is a autosomal recessive disorder. A normal vision man whose father was colorblind marries to woman whose father was also colorblind. They have their first child as daughter. What are the chances that this child could be also be colorblind? It is 0%. Mutation can be induced by gamma radiation. From molecular basis of inheritance, first question is DNA fragments are negatively charged. If there are 999 bases in an dRNA that codes for the protein with 33 amino acids and the base at position 901 is deleted such that the length of the RNA becomes 998 bases, how many codons will be altered? The codons altered will be 33. Which of the following rRNA act as structural RNA as well as ribosomes in bacteria? It is 23 srRNA. The equivalent of structural gene is cistron. Taylor conducted experiment to prove semi-conservative mode of chromosome replication on Vicia faba. Which of the following RNAs is most abundant in animal cell? It is rRNA. The association of histone H1 with nucleosome indicates DNA is condensed into chromatin fiber. The final proof for DNA as genetic material comes from the experiment of Hershey and Chase. Spliceosomes are not found in the cells of bacteria. The commonly used vector for human genome sequencing is BAC and YAC. From evolution chapter, first question is according to Darwin, organic evolution is due to interspecific competition. The wings of birds and the wings of insects are analogous organs. Which of the following are most suitable indication of sulfur dioxide pollution in environment is lichens. Which of the following had a smallest brain capacity? It is Homo habilis. A population will not exist in Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium if there is an individual made selectively. If in a population of 100 individual, 360 belongs to a genotype AA and 482 small a, capital A and small a, and the remaining 162 small a. Based on this data, what is the frequency of allele A in the population? It is 0.6 based on the formula P plus Q whole square. In the forelimbs of cat, lizard used in walking, forelimbs of whale used in swimming, forelimbs of bat used in flying are the example of homologous organs. Which of the following are analogous structure? Wings of pigeon and wings of bat. Industrial melanism is an example of natural selection. The what is a common to whale, shark and seal? The common is convergent evolution. From human health and disease, the first question is if you suspect major deficiency of antibodies in a person, to which of the following would you look for confirmatory evidence? It is serum globulins. Which of the following immunoglobulins does constitute the largest percentage of human milk? It is IgA. Antivenom injection contains preformed antibodies, while polio drops that are administered to the body contains attenuated pathogen. In the higher vertebrates, the immune system can distinguish between its own cell and foreign cell. If this property is lost, it leads to autoimmune diseases. Asthma may be attributed to allergic reaction of mast cells in the lungs. Which of the following sets of disease are caused by bacteria? It is cholera and tetanus. Which of the following disease is caused by protozoa? It is a babiosis. Grafted kidneys may be rejected in a patient due to cell-mediated immune response. The active form of Entamoeba histolytica feeds upon erythrocytes, mucosa and submucosa of colon. The cell-mediated immunity inside the human body is carried out by T lymphocytes. From microbes and human welfare chapter, the first question is Monascus purpurus is a yeast used commercially in the production of blood cholesterol lowering agent, that is statin. A good producer of citric acid is Aspergillus niger. Which of the following in sewage treatment removes suspended solids? It is primary treatment, physical treatment. High value of BOD indicates water is highly polluted. Which of the following species of plant would you select for the production of bioethanol? It is Ziamis. Which of the following is not used in organic farming? Snail. A common biocontrol agent for control of plant disease is trichoderma. The most common substrate used in distilleries for the production of ethanol is molasses. Secondary sewage treatment is biological process. Which of the following helps in absorption of phosphorus from soil by plants is glumus. From biotechnology principle and processes, the first question is the tag polymerase enzyme is obtained from Thermus aquaticus. Which of the following is an endonuclease? Hind2. Which of the following restriction enzyme produce blunt end? It is EcoRV. Which of the following is not a component of downstream processing? It is expression. A foreign DNA and plasmid cut by the same restriction endonuclease can be joined to form recombinant plasmid using DNA ligase enzyme. DNA fragments separated on the agarose gel can be visualized by staining with ethidium bromide. A gene whose expression helps in identify transformed cell is known as selectable markers. A single strand nucleic acid tagged with radioactive molecule is called probe. This is a restriction endonuclease called EcoR1. What does co-part init stands for? Coli. Agarose extracted from seaweeds finds used in gel electrophoresis. From biotechnology and its application, the first chapter is the genetically modified brinjal in India has been developed for insect resistance. What kind of therapy was given to 1990 for a 4-year-old girl with ADA deficiency? It is gene therapy. The genetically modified brinjal in India has been developed for insect resistance. The maximum number of existing transgenic animals is of mice. The process of RNA interference has been used in the development of plant resistant to nematode. The first ever human hormone produced by recombinant DNA technology is insulin. In Bt cotton, the Bt toxin present in plant tissue as protoxin is converted into active toxin due to alkaline pH in the insect gut. Tri-1 endotoxin obtained from Bacillus thuringiensis are effective against bollworm. Which of the following is not used as a biopesticide? It is Xanthomonas, a transgenic food crop which may help in solving the problem of night blindness in developing countries is golden rice. From organism and population, the first question is just up as a person moving from Delhi to Shimla to escape the heat for the duration of hot summer, thousands of migratory birds from Siberia and other extremely cold northern region moved to Colorado National Park. The population of an insect species shows an explosive increase in the number during the rainy season, followed by its disappearance at the end of this season. What does this shows? It shows the its population growth curve is of J shape. Which of the following categories categorized as parasite in true sense? It is house loose living on the human scalp as well as laying eggs on the human hair. A biologist studied the population of rat in a barn. He found that average natality was 250 and average mortality was 240. Migration 20, immigration 30. The net increase in population is 0. The geometric representation of age structure is characterized by population. Praying mantis is a good example of camouflage. The formula for exponential population growth is dn by dt is equal to rn. High density of elephant population in an area can result in intra-specific competition. Annual migration does not occur in case of salamandar. A sedentary sea anemone gets attached to the shell lining of hermit crab. The association is called commensalism. From ecosystem, the first chapter is secondary productivity is the rate of formation of new organic matter by consumer. Which of the following is not a gaseous biochemical cycle in the ecosystem? It is phosphorus cycle. Identify the possible link A in the following food chain. The A is cobra. Which of the following which one of the following is not a functional unit of ecosystem? It is stratification. Which ecosystem has maximum biomass? It is forest ecosystem. The upright pyramid of number is absent in forest. The mass of living material at the trophic level at a particular time is called standing crop. Secondary succession takes place on degraded forest. The term ecosystem was coined by A.G. Tansley. The primary producer of the deep sea hypothermal vent ecosystem are chemosynthetic bacteria. From biodiversity and conservation, the first chapter is which of the following has maximum genetic diversity in India? It is mango. Which of the following pair of animal and plant represent endangered organism in India? It is Bentictia nicobarica and red panda. Which of the following is not included under in situ conservation? It is botanical garden. One of endangered species of Indian medicinal plant is Podophyllum. Probiotics are live microbial food supplement. Which is the national aquatic animals of India? It is river dolphin. Red list contains data or information on threatened species. How many hotspots of biodiversity in the world have been identified till date by Norman Mayer? 34. Alexander von Humboldt described for the first time species area relationship. The region of biosphere reserve which is legally protected and where no human activity is allowed is known as core zone.